Alright, so here it is, my first video to try to embrace this technology, and it's about the lowest tech, high-tech thing I could do. Turning on my webcam, got my materials, got my whiteboard, marker, and of course my coffee. So what we're going to do is go over this sheet that you did the other day, and I can't help but feel that I'm getting ready for some literature zombie apocalypse up here. I feel like I created some type of English compound, so if the world ends, at least we'll all know our short story terms. But it is what it is. We're going to try our best here. I appreciate you joining me for this ride, and I'm hoping that every time I do one of these, it gets a little bit better. So like I said, thanks for your patience and for just coming along on this journey while we do this. So you guys are the first, so that's what's kind of cool about this whole thing. Anyway, what you can do is get this off of the website, download it, and then you'll be able to have it. Eventually I want to try to do it so I can do a screencast and you can just watch this, but for now, just good old-fashioned, here it is. So I'm going to try to do this fairly quickly, and what you can do is, if you got it correct, that's great, but if I say something that you didn't realize, you can still take notes. And what I can do is either create some type of handout for you where you can do that, or you can just do it in your one notebook, or just good old-fashioned pencil and paper. But I will be giving you maybe some extra knowledge that you were not exposed to before, and you can write that stuff down. That way I know you actually watched the video. So here we go. First one. Atmosphere or feeling in a literary work is called the B. No, that would be wrong. That would be C, the mood. C. See, I'm nervous doing this. I'm not nervous when I'm in front of the class, but put a camera in front of me and I don't like it. Anyway, so number one is C, the mood. That is like the emotions that the writer will take and try to instill that when they write. So you could have like Edgar Allan Poe would be a great example of a scary type of mood, a suspenseful mood. It's the feelings that they're trying to create when you read the work. Number two, time and place of action is, right, B, setting. I think everybody should have gotten that one. 3, the struggle or problem that drives the action. Struggle or problem is D, the conflict. Every story has to have a conflict. If you have no conflict, there's no tension, there's no problem, and it would be really, really boring. And I think I said that in class. Like, think about that in life. Like, you will have conflict in your life. It's how you learn from it. And that's what they're trying to do. Number 4, a piece of fiction writing that is meant to be read in one sitting is D, a short story. Now, the definition of one sitting, back when they first started writing short stories a long time ago, that would be like 2-3 hours, because it was like a big deal that a writer would create this imaginary story. There's nothing better to do. There's no radio, there's no television, there's no internet. So what are you going to do after you've like washed the dishes and sheared the sheep and plowed the fields, and it's dark at night, so you have a little light there, which is kind of cool, a lamp or something, not electric, but even before electricity. What could you do? Well, you could really read your religious text at the time, or you could read about these imaginary characters with all these different plots and dramas, and it was like a really big deal to do that. So when people think short story, one sitting, 2-3 hours, that's like 30 pages. So you may think that a short story of 30 pages is not very short, but when you think that you can read it in one night, 30 pages, yeah, you could do that. Once it gets beyond 30, then the plot starts getting more involved, and then you have a novella, which is like itty-bitty novel. And then once you get over like 100 pages, now you're starting to get like a novel. So that's what that is. Number 5, deciding moment that decides the outcome of the characters is the B, climax. Everything, you got the conflict, and it's like this one moment, like, are they going to get the job? Are they going to win the championship? Are they going to save the person's life? It's that one deciding moment. That's why it's the high point of action. It determines the fate of the characters' lives. Everything up to that point, they can decide one way or another, but that one really important moment, that's the climax, and that should be B. 6, descriptive writing that awakes the five senses. A, imagery. When you think of an image, you think of something you see. But good writing, if they describe the sounds, that's still imagery. Or if you can feel how the person felt, anything descriptive is imagery. 7, character who wants something, which is the focus of the action, is C, Why do I keep on saying that? It's not C. I got my letters messed up. D, protagonist. The character who wants something, which is the focus of the action, is D, the protagonist. Pro. If you're pro something, you want it. I am pro Obama. I am pro healthcare reform, for example. That's pro. The other one is the antagonist. Anti. I'm anti-war. I'm anti anything, is like you're against it. But number 7 should be D, protagonist. Think of it this way, like they want it, they're positive for it, P, positive, P, protagonist. 8, a prediction or a hint of what will happen is a foreshadow, A, foreshadow. Because you're going, something that's going to be coming like before you, in front of you. 9, life is like a box of chocolates. That would be a simile, B. Simile is the comparison with like. Think of simile has an L in it. So simile, like, or as. And then the other one is my cat is a log, is a metaphor. So you gotta, those go hand in hand. You gotta know which one has a like, which one doesn't. Now, a metaphor is where you're comparing this thing is this actual thing. My cat is a log. That's a metaphor. But if you say like, my soup is cold, that's not a metaphor. Because what follows is not soup cold. That is just an adjective, so you're just describing something. My soup is cold. Now, if you said, my soup is ice, soup, ice, noun, noun. You're comparing the soup to the ice. That's the metaphor. My soup is salty, not a metaphor. You're just describing it. Same thing if you say, my cat is a feline. Feline means cat. That's just a definition. So in order for it to be a metaphor, this thing has to be compared to this thing to make a point. It's figurative language. It's not literal. Cat literally is a feline. Word for word is what it is. But if you say my cat is a log, what does it mean? It's lazy. 11. Given non-human objects human characteristics, personification. B. Non-human, human character. A human is a person, personification. So, an example, the tree reached up with its branches to the sky. It doesn't reach. That's a person reaches. It literally does not reach. So anytime you're giving something human qualities, it's the personification. How are we doing so far? When the author takes the reader back in time to a memory using a C, flashback. You're going back in time. Flashback. Bob built a brilliant boat. D, alliteration. Repeating of the consonant sounds. That you just have to straight up memorize. There's no trick really for that. A form of language spoken by people in a particular region is a dialect. So you could have a Southern dialect. You could have an English, British dialect. The other one is dialogue, but a dialect is how they speak. Background information about the characters to fill in the reader is, now I notice a lot of people got 15 wrong. C, exposition. That's background information. Think of it this way. It introduces the characters and it introduces the setting. That's exposition. So the word expose, if you expose something, you reveal it, right? So You're exposing the reader to the setting and the characters, and you've got also the word position. So the position of the people is the setting. So within that word, expose, position, exposition, setting, revealing. You can have exposition sprinkled throughout the plot too. It doesn't always happen all in the beginning. So if you get like halfway through a story and you don't understand why is this character doing what they're doing, that's because you lack background knowledge. And they may do that on purpose to create some suspense. And then halfway through the story, they'll say, oh, by the way, what you didn't know is before they came to this town, before this problem, this other thing happened. And then you say, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's the exposition sprinkled throughout. Where are we now? 16. One sentence message. The author is trying to tell the reader. A one sentence message is, oh, well, that was easy. B, message. That was a freebie. A one sentence message. Well, if you didn't get 16 right, I don't know what you were thinking. But message, a one sentence message. Okay, so what we can do with that, theme versus message. A theme could be love or unity or happiness. That's the theme. It's like one word. Well, what is the statement the author is making about that theme? Love conquers all. Love survives. What was another theme I was saying? Happiness. Happiness is found within. So that would be the message about the theme. Type of literature, 17. C, genre. If you go into a bookstore and you say, I'm looking for adventure, romance, science fiction, those are all genres. And then you can have subgenres. I'm looking for science fiction about zombie apocalypse. So there's more and more genres that are be creating all the time. It's actually a marketing thing for books. So they'll create this brand new type of genre so they can categorize and sell more books. It's niche marketing. Anyway. The way an author writes to establish a certain emotion, the way they write, that is D, the tone. So we were talking about mood, that's the result. If I take a certain tone as a writer, that's from the writer's perspective. I'm going to take a sarcastic tone. I'm going to take a creepy type of tone the way I write. If I do that effectively, it establishes the mood for the reader. 19, the way the sequence of events is revealed to the reader. The way the sequence of events is revealed to the reader is C, the plot. The sequence of events. This happens, then this happens, then this happens. That's the plot. Think of it like in math. When you plot a line on a chart or a graph, here it is, then here it is, and here it is, and you draw it a certain way, that's plot. It's very specific and calculated. The story is just generally like what happened. So if I wanted to plot out a certain story, I might start with the climax of the high point of action and then run it backwards and then give the exposition. Or I could start all the way at the end and then run it back. Or I could start from beginning to end. That's how I want to plot the sequence. The general, okay, so what happens with this? What's the story? It's the story of a boy and his dog and how they saved the town from burning down. That's the story. The plot, I might start at the climax where it's all burning down and then go back to how it started with the exposition. The hard snow crunched underneath its paws is an example of a onomatopoeia. The onomatopoeia word is crunched. So that one's a little more subtle. It doesn't always have to be crunch went the snow, or the snow went crunch. The snow crunched underneath his paw. That's a verb in the sentence, but it's also imitating sound. So you can have things like that. It's a little more subtle. How to remember onomatopoeia is the sound word. Well, that word kind of sounds funny. Onomatopoeia. Sound word. And note the spelling at the end. P-O-E-I-A. Pretty neat. Onomatopoeia. And it's a poetic device and it has P-O-E in it, like poem. Kind of snazzy. We're almost done. When characters speak, it is called B, dialogue. Not the dialect. We already did that. Dialogue. Thinking of, like, well, this person says something, then this person, then this, then this. You are logging their conversation. Dialogue. 22, I was stuck in traffic for a million years is C, hyperbole. A million years? Really? A million. Million years. Traffic. That's like way over the top. Think of someone who's hyper. They have extra energy. So an exaggeration is extra. So anytime that they're just going way over the top with a description and it's like kind of hyper descriptive, that's a hyperbole. So he grew 10 feet tall that day. I've been waiting in line forever. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. All of that is exaggeration. It's hyper descriptive. 23, the development of the conflict. Development of it is D, the rising action. That's how you introduce the conflict and then it gets explored over and over and over again. All these little things. The conflict and the tension is rising. It's going up. So exactly how it sounds, rising action. It's bubbling and it's getting bigger and bigger. When the conflict is over and life goes back to normal. Resolution is C. Now look at that word. Resolution. Re-solution. A solution is when you solve the problem, right? Well, that implies if you redo anything, that means you do it again. So you can reheat, reread, re-solution. That implies that there were problems before and they're just solving it yet again. And it also kind of hints that there's probably going to be more problems in a person's life. So just that word, re-solution, resolution, pretty much says like there's always going to be conflict. And then last one, the sequence of events in a story is, again, D, plot. Pretty important. I put it in there twice. Wow. Okay. So that's it. I just realized that through going over this, I could even tweak this in the future. But it was just a diagnostic. So I'm going to make notes through going over this to even tweak this for an assessment that you will have that will be more involved, going into more detail, and want to make sure that you study all of that. Now that's this part. What I would like to do then is go over the actual plot diagram, and I'm going to post that as another video. So this one I'm looking at the time here. This was almost 20 minutes, 18 right now. With this one, if you watch it, if you're still with me here, you could have like fast forward it, and if you had like most of them right, then you could have just slid it over to some point and listened to that part. But like I said, I did give you a little bit of extra information, a little bit of the explanations. So hopefully you kind of stayed with me and it wasn't too painful for you. Like I said, this was my first time doing this. And yeah, so you watched it. I'll probably edit some of this even. I don't know what I'll do or not. I might just post it the way it is. But that's it. And stay tuned for the next one, which will be that square with the plot diagram. And I'm going to do it. Another high-tech thing using my little whiteboard here. And that one you're really going to need to pay attention to more, because a lot of people put question marks on that one, or they put very basic things. And I'm going to be throwing a couple new big boy and big girl plot terms that I'm pretty sure you did not get in 8th grade, and you'll be responsible for that in the future, because it teaches the finer points of how to construct a plot, which will help you for reading stories because it's a formula and you'll understand it. And it will also really help you if you need to ever do some creative writing. If you know the tools and how an author builds a plot, you'll never have writer's block because you'll just know how to put it all together. All right, so thanks a lot. It's a 20-minute video right here. I think that's going to be my goal, to never go over 20 minutes. And that's it. Thanks a lot. See you later. Bye.